going on, everyone? Mario here with Prince, and yes, I am wearing a hooded blanket. It's kind of late, my wife likes it cold, and it gets really cold in my office, so we're wearing this today. Now today I decided to cover a topic that I've been wanting to cover for quite some time because it's always an issue. I print ETF transfers, and about 90% of the time, people always submit some pretty crappy artwork. So today we're going to be learning design basics. These are the most basic things that you need to learn in order to have some high quality prints for the t-shirt business. Now, this doesn't necessarily just apply to the t-shirt business. Overall, this is going to help you understand a little bit about design and how to get the best possible prints, whether it be to print on a t-shirt or to hang on a wall. Now, just so you know, today we're going to be covering two formats only. We're not going to be talking about vector art because for the most part that's used for vinyl or heat transfer vinyl. Now I'm going to be using Photoshop, but this video is pretty much more than anything for explanation and so you understand the basics of design. So what you learn here can be applied with pretty much any software or app or whatever you use. So welcome to Design 101, Design Basics, taught by Mario from Prince. All right, I'm gonna take this off for a little bit. It's still really cold. All right, so let's begin. Actually, before we begin, if you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as ring that little bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. So JPEG versus PNG. What's the difference? Which one is better? Which one should you use? So JPEG for the most part is a file format that's used for full color photos or photos overall. And PNG is usually used for images that are printed. JPEGs also tend to be a bit lower on the quality side, so that's why people don't usually use them to design. Now PNGs are usually higher quality and can store a lot more detail than a JPEG can. That's why it's the preferred format for this type of printing. Now, another huge difference is on a PNG, you have the ability to be able to make a transparent background. On a JPEG, you can't. You can go ahead and delete it, but if you end up saving the image as a JPEG, whatever empty space you had will end up white. So take this image, for example. It has a transparent background. Now I'm going to go ahead and save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to save it as a PNG. So I'm saving it, and as you can see already, the background turned white. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, so here we have the new logo copy, which is the JPEG. And as you can see, it has a white background. Now let's look for the original, which is this one. And that one has a transparent background. So that's why in the t-shirt business, when it comes to these kinds of images, PNG is the best possible format that you can go with. Now, a lot of people are thinking, but I thought vector was the best format. Now, vector is fantastic, but for designs, it's not really necessary. Vector we use more than anything for cutting vinyl. Also, vectors or SVG files typically tend to be solid colors, so there's no gradients or any shadows or anything like that. Now, it's important to note that if you submit artwork for transfers and you leave a white background, that white background is going to be printed. The same goes if you deleted the background and you missed a spot, like this one right here, that will end up printing white. So you're going to have a fully transparent background, but you're going to have that white spot. And I don't know about you, but for me, that is a huge pet peeve. I hate seeing missed white spots. That's happened to me so many times with vinyl. I've ended up weeding the design, pressing it, only to find a white spot or whatever color I used. So one important thing to note is if you're using sublimation, it doesn't really matter whether you have a white background or not. Since sublimation printers don't print white, you're not going to have any extra white spots where you forgot to delete anything or a white background. So with sublimation, don't worry about white spots or any missed white spots. For any other kind of transfers like DTF or white toners, then you do have to watch out for those missed white spots. Now, this is one of the most crucial steps, but at the same time, this is actually what I've noticed people are having a harder time with, and that's sizing your image. Now, when it comes to your image size, there's a few things to keep in mind. The width, the height, and most importantly, well, maybe not most importantly, but pretty big importantly, DPI. So I use Photoshop, and on Photoshop, you're able to choose whether you want it in inches or pixels. I always just do inches because it's just easier for me. There's a lot of people that like to use pixels. It's really all personal preference. But the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind when it comes to printing is the resolution. Now, when it comes to the resolution, I always receive 72 DPI or a resolution of 72. Now, that can print, it'll work, but it won't be the sharp and it won't be the highest quality. For the best resolution, you want to stick to 300. So always have a minimum of 300 DPI or a resolution of 300. Now what the resolution is how many pixels per inch. And the more pixels, the higher quality that the print's going to be. So let's take a look at this image just through the screen with 72 DPI and a 300 DPI. Okay, so we have our two 300 DPI images. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch this one down to 72 dpi, and they're both 12 by 9 inches. Now you can immediately see how much smaller it got. Here we're zoomed in at 112%, while in this one we're zoomed in 25%. You can blow this one up way more than you can this one. This one, as you start to zoom in, it's not even as big as this one, and it's already looking pixelized. So always 300 dpi for best print quality. Now this is something that's really important to keep in mind, because most of the images that you're going to download online are going to end up being 72 dpi. Not always, but it happens a lot. Also, if you're making any images from scratch, or if you're designing anything from scratch, always make sure to start at 300 dpi, because you can upscale. So this same one here, I can go ahead and upscale it. I can make it 300 dpi. Photoshop will do its best to upscale it, but it won't be the best. It won't be like starting off with 300 dpi. So as you can see in this one, you can zoom in super close to the ear. I'm at 169%, and it still looks pretty clear. It's starting to look a little bit pixelized. And on this one I upscale to 300 dpi. I'm zooming in to 169% as well, or 170. And you can clearly see the quality difference. This one is way better, and it's a lot sharper. Now, even though this one was 300 dpi at one point, well, to start off, it was 300 dpi. I lowered the quality to 72, so it lost all of that data. It lost all of the quality, and it can't really bring that back. So when it upscales it, pretty much what it tries to do is it takes information from the pixels around it and tries to kind of replicate it to just be able to expand it. Now, while that does work, it works to a certain extent. You know, you can't get original quality. It's not going to be as sharp. So always remember, when you start off making your designs, if you're using a program like Photoshop or GIMP or Illustrator or Inkscape, whatever you're using, if you have the option to, always start at 300 dpi. Now, another really important thing to keep noted is the actual image size. You want to make sure that you have the appropriate size for what you want to print. So whether you're using inches or pixels, always make sure you also start off with the right size. So if I'm thinking that the design that I want to print is going to be 7 by 14 inches, that's pretty long. 12 by 14 inches, then that's what I want to start off with. So I would go here and do 12 inches by 14. Well, no, I'm starting a new one, so it'll be new. So here under inches, it would be 12 by 14 with a resolution of 300. So boom, boom, create. And this would be the best size for this particular image, or whatever I want to put in here. Now, fading and glows. So you can go ahead and add an outer glow, and as you can see, it's semi-transparent. So it's not fully solid, it's semi-transparent. If you're doing sublimation, this isn't an issue. This can print perfectly fine. But if you're printing DTF transfers or white toner transfers or any other kind of transfers for that matter, this isn't going to work. While you can print like that, the adhesive isn't going to correctly adhere. Since it's a lot less ink, there's a possibility for some missed white spots or some blotches. It's just not going to look like a faded image. And if it does, it's not going to look right. It's going to look a bit weird. It's going to look off. The point is, for transfers, don't have any glows, don't have any smoke, because smoke also tends to be transparent. Unless you have it fully filled in, smoke a lot of the times is somewhat transparent, or portrayed and printed somewhat transparent. Now, this can work also with DTG. So this will work with DTG as well as sublimation. All right, so these are the key points that I want you to take away from this video. For the best possible print, always make sure you have 300 dpi, you set the appropriate image size, and you do that from the beginning if you can. And when printing transfers, always make sure you delete your backgrounds, and any missed white spots will be printed. Also, when printing transfers, avoid glow, or pretty much anything with any semi-transparent spots in it. So even if the image has some transparent spots in it, just try to make it solid. And last but definitely not least, this is actually probably one of the more important ones. Actually, you know what? No, it is the most important key takeaway from this video. The biggest thing that you should keep in mind is that you should subscribe and send this video to a friend that needs it, or even better, a client. These were the basics of design that you need to know for printing t-shirts. Thank you so much for attending today's class, and if you did enjoy this video, please make sure you leave a like, and also do make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. Once again, my name is Mario with Neko Prints, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.